Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on another edition of the Fishman Partnership Series. This is the series where we dig into the details of very cool new instruments that are created by our OEM partners. And it is an interactive series, so we're going to be accepting questions. If you've got comments, please write in, please be part of the conversation. But today, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome the gentleman from Lanikai. Today, we are joined by Mr. Rock Clouser and Mr. Derek Frank. Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Doing well. How you doing?
Great.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Before the session, we were admiring the fantastic studio and the decor. It is truly killer. So we're going to enjoy that today. Before we dig into the instruments, I'd love to check in with both of you, see how you're both doing. How are things at Lanikai? How, your home base of Nashville, what's happening down there? Is music returning? Are things coming back around a little bit after the crazy 14 or 15 months that we've had? What's cooking down there?
Yes, they are, and that's a positive
Awesome.
thing. Nashville is based on entertainment, so I mean that's a huge part of our industry here. But it's all styles of entertainment versus recording and live performance as well. So it's and touring. So it's exciting to see those buses starting to roll out again from Nashville that we're used to seeing, and tours are starting back up. So it's exciting, and hopefully it continues and increases.
That's great to hear, Rock. Derek, on your side, I know, in addition to being super cool studio owner, you've also got artist relations responsibilities at Lanikai. Is that what you're finding as well? Guys are kind of hitting the road again, and things are coming back on slowly as far as touring and live performances?
Yeah, definitely. Last week I was actually down in Florida with one of our artists in Daytona Beach, and it was overlooking the ocean. It was beautiful, and there's about 3,000 people there enjoying music again. And then recently on Sunday night I was at the Grand Ole Opry for a Billy Gibbons tribute show, and it was still about 3/4 capacity, but it just felt so great to have people in the audience. I've done a lot of the live streaming broadcasts, and they're great,
Sure.
but nothing like feeling the music like that and feeling the crowd.
Yeah, I think if there's a positive that might come out of this is it was kind of a live music reset. People have been without it for so long
Sure.
that when they get it now, and I think the entertainers are going to give a lot more because they've been pent
Sure.
up for so long. So I think it's a positive, if there is any positive that comes out of this, that's a huge piece of it, is people need music, and people want music, and people want to give music,
No, absolutely. The scarcity of the opportunities for all of us to get together and either perform music or enjoy seeing music performed kind of puts into very sharp focus how important it is in everyone's lives, both as performers and fans and listeners, and it's great to see it coming back. So today we are going to dig into the details on some fantastic musical instruments and music making machines. Today we're here to dig into the details on the Lanikai Bass Ukuleles series, and we're going to check out a fantastic video to start with by Lanikai artists, the Sweet Lizzie Project. And we'll get a chance to see one of those kind of in use and in this environment, and then we'll jump back in and we'll run down all of the instruments as well.
Great.
fantastic. So that was the Sweet Lizzie project, playing all Lanikai instruments in that video, including the bass ukuleles that we're going to dig into today. I did want to remind everyone that this is a live stream, so we've had some nice comments already. Tom has written in just to say hi. Jim has written in with crank it up. Muhammad says the music is nice. Thank you, Muhammad. So thank you everyone for the comments. If there's questions about the instruments, question about Fishman, Lanikai, please bring them forward. We'd love to have you join us in this conversation. But we are also broadcasting, just to let you know where we are. You're probably watching on something, so you know where you are. But we're on the Fishman Facebook, the Fishman YouTube, the Fishman Twitch, and the Lanikai Facebook and YouTube. So if you want to watch us on 4 or 5 different places, you can jump around and check them all out. But there's good stuff on all of those channels. I definitely recommend you take a look later on. There's always cool content on all of those. So without further ado, let's dig into these instruments. And my first question about these instruments is, Lanikai, of course, is one of the leading brands of ukuleles, very famous, very well known. What drove you to create the bass ukulele instrument, right? What was the inspiration? What was the thinking? What was the problem you were trying to solve? I'd love to hear the story on how you got there into the bass instruments.
Well, sure. The ukulele has been around for many years, as we know, but we know the recent surge. And the recent surge has kind of led to the development of expanding what ukulele is all about. So, the multi-string instruments and all of that. So it kind of led to other ukulele companies have created their version of a bass, and those are great, and they serve a place in the industry. But I felt it was time for Lanikai to provide kind of what they do, and so kind of took a step back and tried to figure out what could I give the player, what could I give the family of Lanikai to kind of fill it out and round it out. So with what I tried to do is, as with soprano and concert and tenor and baritone, I decided that our bass version should be bigger. It should be the biggest. Just kind of how you have the violin through the upright bass. As an upright bass player myself, I appreciate the large instrument itself. So I wanted to give the players a more of an acoustic sound first and amplify it as such. So you don't see the cutaways there. It's designed to be a nice full body sound without the pickup. Then the second part of that was to the bass guitar itself is kind of a new instrument in the scheme of all instruments. So what do bass guitar players want out of this, and what do they require out of an instrument, rather than just make it like a ukulele and call it a bass ukulele. That wasn't my goal at all. It was to bring something that bass players would appreciate, but still be able to join kind of that uke family and that uke surge and that whole music style that's going on. So that was kind of the basis of what we wanted to, no pun intended there, but the pinnacle of what we were trying to do was create something that was a bass instrument that would provide bass players with what they need. So that was kind of the not the challenge as much as the goal, as to bring components that would make sense. So as I said, I started with the larger body style, and so there's a lot of ukulele basses out there, and as I say, they all have their place. Ours kind of fills a different spot, and we've discovered that through some of our artist players as we got them out into the field. So we started with that. The other thing that I felt was very important is to bring the ukulele sound to the instrument, and not just a travel bass. A travel bass instrument or a smaller bass acoustic instrument has been done before. So again, no reason to duplicate what's out there. So let's switch it up a little bit, and let's keep it truly ukulele. So these strings that we're using are the D'Addario version that are nylon core with the phosphor bronze.
Okay.
The second part of that, and so that gives you that warmness of the ukulele tone, but still kind of with that tactile, that touch that bass players are used to with a wound string. So kind of met both worlds there. The other part that was interesting was coming up with the right scale. And so this is a 23.4 scale, which is a little shorter than something of this size, but we experimented with a few different styles. And while the strings are a little less tight, they are very player friendly. So it kind of, again, balances to that, instead of just being an acoustic bass guitar small version, it is truly like a large ukulele bass. So you have that tone from the strings, and you have that feel, but yet the whole thing is the scale length that contributes very much to that as well. The other part is a truss rod, and all of our bass ukuleles are adjustable, so you can get that action where you like it. Different players, different styles. The kind of the whole overarching piece of the Lanikai brand is to really not to pigeonhole the instruments into any specific genre. And so the kind of the goal was to design something that the bass players would enjoy, whether they were in an acoustic group, an electric group, or driving down the road, as we discussed, on a tour bus. You know, it has a place in a bass player's arsenal, no matter what instruments they have. So that was a key design element too. So that's kind of where we started. So if that gives you kind of where the mindset was.
Oh yeah, no, that's incredibly helpful, and it all makes perfect sense. The little bit longer scale length, the acoustically larger body, yet with the consideration of still having it be a close relative to the ukulele family. Yes. Is a very, very nice combination. We've got a question here from Tom, and I had one more question too, but I can hold mine till later on. Tom Tracy is writing in and is asking if there's a special string set for the instruments.
It's the D'Addario EXP 190 set.
Okay.
It's out there, easily available anywhere. Again, it's the nylon core, and that's what gives it its best tone and keeps it warm and round, and that's was important.
Nice. And my question was, what is the tuning on these instruments, Rock? I mean, obviously you can tune it to whatever you want, but what tuning was the design based around? Oh,
this is 1-for-1 standard.
Okay.
Any bass player can pick it up and play instantly. It's EADG, just like
a bass guitar.
Tuning. Exactly.
Got it.
So
okay,
all
cool.
the riffs are there.
Nice. Well, I do want to break just for 1/2 second and acknowledge and say thank you to some of the great comments we've gotten. Gumba from the Philippines is watching and wrote in and said hello. Tomas from Hungary has written in saying hi. James from Maui, that is probably enjoying much nicer weather than we are right now. There's James watching. So anyway, thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today, and we certainly appreciate the comments and also the questions. Tom sending in the nice questions. So we'll continue to dig into these very, very cool instruments. So, Rock, I know, if I understand correctly, in the range there's presently 4 instruments in the bass ukulele collection. Mm-hmm. And I wondered if you some of the differences in the models. I know there's a wide variety of tone woods available. Would love to hear a little bit about that, and maybe some of the sonic signature, if you will, of each of these tone woods. How, aside from the natural beauty, how might somebody, pick out the right bass ukulele for their application?
Sure. We have mahogany, which is kind of a standard look, standard feel, standard
Sure.
tone, and you see it there. The mahogany is going to have a warmer, rounder tone than some other woods that we've used here. So that's kind of the most standard look, and it's basically where the pricing starts there too. So that's a part of our mahogany series there.
Nice.
The second version would be our oak, and oak is a new series that we just introduced last year. And so oak is, again, a little tighter wood, so it's going to be a little brighter overall, and it's going to project just a little bit, so you'll get a little more of the high side, high end of the spectrum there.
Okay.
And figured bacote is the darker wood that we have. It's part of our figured bacote series. And you can see there the nice graining that's matched up on both sides of the instrument there, even
Yeah.
front and back and sides. So we match all of that graining. Figured bacote comes from Mexico. The dark woods has a very rich grain, and no two instruments are alike, so each one is kind of a work of art. So those are very unique looking, but the dark finish and the graining pattern on those does tend to lend a little bit more to the darker side of the tone range. So we have a lot of players that kind of like that as from a bass player standpoint. And then the final in the series is our solid spruce top. And this is a solid spruce top with Murado back and sides, and it has herringbone binding around the edge. So it's more of a traditional look, but the solid spruce top really projects more, and it will be bright and it will cut through. And so that was kind of the idea behind all the sonic qualities of the instruments themselves. So the solid spruce is the one that would project the most acoustically. But all of that being said, they're all equipped with the Fishman Classica 2. So, and I was in contact with you early on with these, and if you remember, we tried several preamps before we settled on this one, and I appreciate the insight that Fishman brought into it. But we actually had several in the shop, and we all tried them out, and the Classica 2 really gave us the tone variety and gave us the range of what we were looking for in the instrument. So we settled on that one, and we've been very, very happy with that. Several artists have commented on the sound that they can get out of that. I know the phase switch has been kind of a very valuable extra little plus on the Classica 2. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, certainly appreciate all those details. Minor Al has written in with a few comments. That the first one was he's been looking forward to this presentation, and the second one is that he's looking for a bigger bass ukulele with Fishman electronics. So apparently,
This is the one.
apparently
This is the one you want.
we've
Check.
we've hit the target 4 times here. So
Yeah, and I saw somebody did ask again if it has a truss rod. They do all come with truss rods as
yes.
Yeah.
Excellent,
So-
excellent. Well, Rock, you did a great job running down the electronics, and I just wanted to speak to the acoustic differences in the instruments and the focus on acoustic design first and foremost. Some people might mistakenly think that us Fishman guys just want to put electronics in everything and make them all sound the same. Nothing could be further from the truth. Everything we do is kind of with and for the acoustic signature of the instrument first and foremost. And then we try to deliver that in a very consistent, repeatable, performance-friendly way. So the Classica 2 system is going to give you a great picture of the acoustic signature of the bass, but also with the ability for some fine tone shaping with active bass and treble on board. If you're in a live environment playing at super high volume with acoustic instruments, having a phase reversal switch, which all of these instruments do, is a great feedback fighting tool. And then it's more of a utility item, but it is an important one. There's a built-in chromatic tuner that mutes the output while you're tuning. So, while the singer is saying "Hello, Cleveland," you can make sure your bass is in tune before the next song. So, all good things there, absolutely. And Rock, also in your discussion, you mentioned that you'd had feedback from artists and that they're playing and using and liking the instruments. Derek, in your function as Director of Artist Relations, I wondered if you could tell us about some of the influencers and some of the artists that have been playing the bass ukuleles and how they're liking them.
Yeah, well, the first thing, everybody had been anticipating us putting one out, and we have people asking us for years for it. And the second that we got demo units in, we had artists doing the testing with us. So as we were making adjustments, they were there with us. We had guys like Zach Fowler, who plays with the band Low Cash, and the other Derek Frank. There's another Derek Frank who's a bass player who plays with Shania Twain and Gwen Stefani. He's one that helped us with that stuff. Jim Schulten from Sawyer Brown was a guy that helped us with that stuff. And then we've got people that are all around Nashville that are blues players, country players. It's already been used on the Grand Ole Opry. The Mavericks were using it for their recent live videos.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's been really broad. And I saw a few questions asking how does it compare volume-wise without it plugged in. And actually, it's really loud. I would say it's considerably louder than most other brands. You can easily play it with 3 other uke players that are unplugged, and it still projects really well. And because of that, it's made it really versatile for a lot of artists, where they're like, yeah, I've had other ones, but the rubber strings, they kind of go out of tune, and it's hard to keep. The intonation is easy, and they're just not as loud unplugged, whereas we've kind of eliminated that. And the same thing, I saw a comment about how does it compare to some of the mini basses. The artists really enjoy this because it's not really a mini bass. Rock scaled it to be a uke bass, and that scaling gives it that different feel than just a standard mini bass guitar.
Yeah, I will also comment that I've had a lot of just kind of hobbyists have written me and said, hey, thanks for putting these out. They have made me a better bass player because it's easy to keep next to my couch, and I pick it up constantly and I play constantly. And the other thing that's inspiring about it is because it's a slightly smaller scale than a bass guitar, you have more actual pitches under your fingers that you can get to. So you have a variety of riffs that you may attempt on this ukulele that you may not have attempted yet on your full-size instrument. So it's kind of inspirational that way too, to experiment, and try this. And we've seen people use them not only as that type of bass, but to get the type of sound that they want. And that's when it's really rewarding to say they're not looking at it as just a ukulele bass or just a travel bass or something like that. They're actually gravitating to it for the sound that it produces, and that's rewarding.
And it does still fit in an overhead compartment. I can say that with experience, that it absolutely does.
Yeah.
Got it. So if I'm understanding you correctly, then you guys have taken all of our excuses away for not practicing and not always having an instrument in hand by making this thing that's can go anywhere and is comfortable, and you can keep it with you all the time, and be ready to jump into a jam or write a new part or whatever it is. So very
it's funny
cool.
that you mentioned writing a new part, because I use mine in my studio every recording, and I've got several other basses, but I would just grab it. And I was like, wow, it tracks really easy. It sounds good. And what was funny is I started doing it with different microphones, and then I found myself only using it plugged in, which I rarely do with an acoustic instrument for the studio. So it just really speaks volumes of how great the pairing is with the Fishman preamp.
Oh, that's good to hear. Daniel Holm writes in, I guess he's got one. He says he loves it and it stays in tune. So those are all important things. Nami wrote in and said that the mahogany was gorgeous. So lots of good comments out there. I wanted to take just a minute. We've got a little bit more video here. Influencer Donald Waugh is playing some really sick grooves using the Lanikai Bass Ukulele. I just wanted to put that up and let us enjoy that for a minute or so. Right on. So Donald just blew our mind playing the Lanikai Bass Ukulele, and he was about to to liquefy us with his piano chops. So we had to cut him off so we could all continue on playing instruments, because it seemed horribly unfair that this guy can do all that.
I don't think he's met an instrument he can't play. So.
Yeah, he's another level, and he when we first met him at Summer NAMM, we let him borrow a couple of ukes from the booth, and the next day he comes back with a fully produced video for us. I'm like,
right.
Who is this guy? I love him.
Oh, it's cool. It's very cool. Michelangelo writes in and says, he says, unfair. And Michelangelo also wrote in and said that he thinks the pickup is great. So thank you, Michael, for that. Great pickups, make absolutely no sound by themselves. So they have to be in great instruments to do what they do. But certainly, thank you for the kind words. Everything works together to make the instrument that these are. And that is fantastic. So we talked about it a little bit. We talked about the tour bus. We talked, Nami wrote in and said, the bass ukulele is great for slouching on the couch, right? If you're relaxing, if you're watching television, you're in a very casual, relaxed state, and you can play music. Nami said that is very hard to do with an upright bass. So unless you're really tall, I would imagine that is the case. But Derek and Rock, perhaps you can share with us. Since these are unique instruments, I know they're finding their way into some sort of unique and cool and different environments. In addition to the ones we touched on, I wondered if there are any other settings that you knew of where these basses have been used and people are enjoying them.
Yeah, we have a very large artist on our roster that has a new signature ukulele out with the Fishman pickup. Julia Michaels, and they've been using it when they're writing. And we've had a lot of artists saying that it's just so inspiring and so easy to play. And when you can just grab it on your couch and slouch, I kind of like that. Wow. That might work. We might need to use that. That it's just so easy to write different things, and taking an approach from writing a tune with the bass line first is not something that most people do. So I think it's changing the way people are writing with it.
Oh, that is very, very cool to hear. Gumba wrote in and said, Lanikai Bass Ukulele, Fishman pickup equals good tone with the okay sign. So
Yep.
that's cool. Thank you, Gumba. Appreciate it. Nami asks about the technology of the pickup. Is it a piezo? The pickup is our Sonocore pickup technology, which is an undersaddle pickup. That in addition to sensing the string pressure right down on top of it, also senses vibration from the bridge plate and the top. So it's not a traditional crystal piezo. It gives you a much more accurate sound of what the instrument is doing acoustically. So I recommend that you get a chance to check one of these out and plug it in and listen for yourself. But certainly good sounding. And Derek, when you were speaking earlier, you mentioned that you find yourself in your studio picking up the bass uke for writing or to lay down tracks that you want to do. And I had and I don't know the answer to this question, but are you primarily a bass player or a guitar
Dear
player?
God,
would you say?
Neither. I'm
Okay.
a drummer.
All right.
Yeah, that's why it's really funny that I even pick up a bass. My dad's an amazing bass player, and I am. For me to grab a bass is kind of insulting, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Well, and I guess the point I was kind of digging into is that often guitar players might write ideas or riffs or concepts on the bass, or bring picking up a different instrument. Although it's close to our main instrument, it makes you think in a different way. It brings out different things. And I would imagine, something like a Lanikai Bass Ukulele put in the hands of a guitar player would be far more familiar than something like a full-sized upright bass and putting a bow in their hand.
Guitar's my second instrument, but I think what I like about it being a drummer primarily is that I can actually feel the notes more than a standard bass, and being able to have that kinetic energy as a drummer, it just makes it easier to play it.
Yeah, if you're a drummer, you're used to that acoustic feedback from the instrument, right? That information coming right back from the instrument itself. Rocky, we're saying.
I might jump in here too.
Please.
A couple more spec things that bass players may be interested in is they may originally think that it's a small scaled down instrument. While the scale is smaller, the nut width is 45 millimeters. So it gives them that wider feel. In fact, I believe it's one of the widest bass, especially in the ukulele market, nut feel there. So it's 45 millimeters. I used open back tuners, and they're 24-to-1 ratio, so you can really hone in on that pitch you're going for. And as we said, the wider nut creates a wider neck profile all the way down. So it's not something that you have to really adjust your technique to and feel like you're playing a small instrument. It's kind of bass player friendly, and that was kind of, as I said earlier, the goal of the whole thing. Naturally, there's no scarf joint in the neck, and it's got strap buttons, and it comes with a gig bag, all the usual Lanikai pieces. And we should mention that they have a lifetime warranty as well.
Wow. So. No, that's super cool. Nick writes in and said that it plays like a dream and sounds huge. So
and Nick is one of our amazing Lanikai artists, and
cool.
Incredible bass player. He plays everything, but incredible bass player. He's got some great videos on YouTube that even have like tabs and music notation. So if anybody wants to learn, check him out.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. We've got some more questions coming in.
This question's great. I ask Rock about this one every day.
Yeah. So Nami writes in and asks if there's any plans for a fretless or 5-string or 6-string Rock.
Yeah, Rock.
Well, the plans and execution are two different words.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Are we looking into options? I have to say, honestly, yes. So I can't make any promises beyond that. But we're always looking to expand to what players need. And as Derek said, this is not the first time I've heard that. So my task is set for me. But yeah, we're looking at a few different aspects to this.
Yeah. The
So,
main thing is that no matter what, it's got to be perfect for us, and that's where rock really excels with all the instruments. And if we do put one out, it would probably still be a while because we just have to have it right for our artist and all of our customers.
Well, absolutely. Tom is writing in with a question. Is this instrument designed to be to play single note lines or chords on it?
you can play chords. You
Yes.
should check out the Nick Hine videos that we discussed. He has done entire arrangements on the bass.
Beautiful.
So, chords and harmony notes and melody, and he's excellent at that. So yes, and that's the other thing is we've had some comments about how it plays in tune. It's in tune all over the fingerboard, so that is very important too. Anybody can make an instrument that's in tune on the low side, but it's when you get into the upper notes and it stays in tune across the fingerboard.
Got it. Well, Nick jumped in and answered the question for us here, saying that the chords sound amazing and the instrument plays in tune and that it's expanded as solo playing. So that is certainly all good stuff. And regarding the future thoughts and instruments coming up, obviously those very bass player friendly details and all the thought that you put in are certainly will make all the difference and are worth the wait to get the right versions of that. So we just had a question popped up that I missed for 1 second. I want to put that back up. So Robert writes in and says that Rock Clouser designed one of the finest full-size fretless basses ever before he worked at Lanikai.
He sure did.
Right on.
This is not my first rodeo. I've been in a few.
That's it.
Been in the industry a while, but I worked for several different brands, kind of behind what people know about the brands I've worked for. So
sure.
There's a lot of history there. But I try to bring that history to every instrument I do, going forward. What did I learn from that? What did I learn not to do from that? So, everything's not a winner, but you have to pull out the good from every experience.
Yeah, and without naming any brand names or model names, it was funny when I first met Bob Tiger, who's also one of our great Lanikai artists now.
Sure.
He brought up that bass, and it's funny because my dad owns that same bass. So
all right.
when this came out, and he's like, "Wait, the same guy designed it?" And he got one immediately. He had to.
So,
excellent.
Thank you for the kind words. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Bob Tigert, he writes in and says that this Lanikai bass is superior sense, touch, sound, reliability. So, it's good to see that we've got some rock fans out there and that people are digging the instruments. So. And then Nick, who is going to both ask and answer all the questions for us today, because he's apparently awesome, said that he's used the instrument for an acoustic gig, and it sounded great even in a more conventional setting. So
yeah, it really does. It's a different tone layer, and we've had several artists say that they take their regular bass and this one kind of for a mixture. They plan to play it, and as a backup, it's like I could do the whole night on this bass if I needed to. So it's not just a travel bass. And if there's one message that we can convey is these are real instruments, and it's not just a kind of a big bass or a travel type thing. It's very useful.
No, for sure, absolutely. Well, I think it's a great time to check out a little bit more video of the Lanikai Bass Ukuleles in action. We've got a really nice video right now of Lanikai endorsing artists Ping Rose and Poye Yancy playing both the bass ukulele and the guitarlele with a beautiful duo performance. So let's check out a little bit of that and we'll jump back. Fantastic. That was Ping Rose and Poye Yancy, Lanikai artists, giving you a chance to really hear the bass ukulele in action along with the guitarlele. And during the performance, Tom wrote in and said that the bass has incredible depth. Right, here's Tom's comment from before. So.
Yeah, and Tom, I can tell you, so I tracked and mixed that session there. That is direct into the board, no plugins on the bass whatsoever. That is just from the pickup into the board, and that one didn't even have any other preamps either, any outboard gear on the bass.
Cool. No, that is great sounding. And I want to jump back. We're gonna take Nick's question, and then I want to jump back to the studio a little bit. Nick is asking about the tuning of the guitarlele.
Yeah, it's A to A, so
Got it.
it's just like a guitar, only tuned up to A. So
Got it.
Consider it like a capo. And a lot of
Sure.
singer-songwriters like that because it's kind of already in their sweet spot, you know.
Yeah.
So.
No, it sounds fantastic, you know, with Ping and Poye playing as a duo. You've got two really, really complementary sounds that, you know, if it was for one song or all night, would be a great combination of instruments and flavors for people to check out. So, and, you know, compliments to you, Derek, for the production and engineering on that. On that
You know,
clip,
honestly, there was very little
it
done
sounds
on that. It was mostly them and the equipment. I just
Got it.
kind of adjusted some volume levels. That was it.
Okay.
But thank you.
All right. Well, no question. It's you know, it came into a great result, and also we were admiring while we were watching the video how beautiful the room is, and my understanding is that's the newly created Lanikai recording, video, and photo studio. Can you tell us a little bit about the creation on that, and you know, what's coming up? What do you guys have plans to do in there? I'm sure you're doing a ton, but
Yeah,
a few
we've
things
actually
would be
shot
great.
quite a bit of stuff. We've got it scheduled for release.
Nice.
So that came about. So we have several other brands under our parent company roof, and we had our photo video room, but through the pandemic, we had to kind of revamp and rethink how we were doing things, and so we went out and got all of our recording set up, and we redid two different rooms actually. One of them is basically a second tracking room and
Okay.
artist relations room, so when artists come in, they can kind of hang out in there. It's really cool vibe, but also it's an isolated space control room. And then we also have it set up where if you're in the main room, like you saw in the video, we can record everything right there with the artist right in front of it, and it just gives it that small studio feel, just like Nashville is.
Oh, fantastic. You know, super cool. And if people, you know, you mentioned you've got a ton of content created and ready for release, and as artists visit and new products get developed, you'll be shooting more and more. Where's the best way in place for people to tune in so they can see all of this upcoming content?
Well, right here is good, but
Okay.
if you're watching on the Fishman channels, and Donald Waugh just signed in, so hey Donald, thank
Dynamite.
you. Hopefully he got to see his video play.
Cool.
But the best places are our Instagram and our YouTube channel.
Okay.
We're really doing an even bigger push with all of our stuff, with the socials, so you know, everybody stay tuned. And if there's things that people want to see that we haven't done, by all means ask us, and we'll do it.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
We want to know what you want to see, you know, or hear for that matter. And we love the questions. We love the what about this, because I'm pretty open-minded to bringing new things out, as we've discussed, as long as they have a purpose and they need to. I don't copy things. I want to create something that is useful for the market. So I welcome all of the possible ideas, and there's no crazy idea. So just you send them to Lanikai. We'll see what we can do to help you out with your musical endeavors. But right now, there's a lot of things on the horizon, I should say. I can't really share a lot of those, but there's several things in the works that will, I don't want to say stretch the limit of ukulele, but stretch maybe the way people think about it. And again, we're trying to promote kind of what are the limits of it? You know, where can it go? And so we're getting a lot of input from around the world. We're getting artists all over about what they're doing with their particular version of Lanikai.
Wow. Fantastic. Nami's writing in with what might be our last question, apologizing for asking too many questions.
No,
you know what, Nami?
They're awesome.
Yeah, and we really appreciate it. So we'll let Rock grab this one. What kind of finish on the back of the neck, and is the truss rod accessible through the sound hole or up at the nut?
Yeah, they're all satin finish, so very smooth and user friendly. The truss rod is accessible right through the sound hole.
Nice.
And
There we
it's
go.
very easy to get to, adjust, and they're very responsive too. So there's a easy adjustment, but these strings are nylon core, as I mentioned earlier. I think someone asked what kind of strings. They're nylon core with the phosphor wrap around it. It's the D'Addario EXP 190, I think is the way to search it there. So you can find those strings at that, and so you can bring them down right where you need them to be with the truss rod, but they're very player friendly.
It's great. Excellent. Excellent. Well, we are getting to the point where we're going to need to sign off. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. The questions were great. The comments were very, very kind, and we appreciate it. As Rock said, if you have crazy ideas, please send them directly to him. And
I'll give you a cell phone number.
yeah, exactly. Call him anytime, day or night.
Just remember, Rob, you'll be a part of it in some way. Be careful.
All right. Well, we're having fun today, but very genuinely, I want to thank our honors guests, Derek and Rock. Thank you guys so much for being great Fishman OEM partners and friends, and thank you for taking the time today to tell us about the great Lanikai instruments. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's always a blast hanging out with you guys.
Anytime.
Awesome. All right. Well, that concludes the Fishman Partnership for today. Please stay tuned. We'll have some more coming up, and thank you everyone for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.